The last couple of days we have learned about capacity and volume. And capacity, as you'll remember, this is going to roll away on me, will tell you how much a container can hold, and volume tells me how much is actually in the container, how much space in the container is taken up by water or chocolate chips, okay? But sometimes I don't want to know how much space something takes up. Sometimes I need to know how heavy something is. And when I'm measuring how heavy something is, I am finding its mass, okay? Mass is the word for figuring out how heavy something is. So, I have two objects here and they are about the same size. Are they going to have the same mass? Are they the same heaviness? Well, you can even see when one of my hands is much lower than the other. These are not the same mass, not even close. And it's a good thing because if my kids' toys weighed 8 pounds, it would be really hard for them to play with. So these things, even though they take up about the same amount of space, their masses are very different. This is a heavier object, so it has a greater mass. The higher the mass, the heavier the object. And that makes sense to us. If I say, do you want to carry around a 1 pound weight all day? Or do you want to carry around a 50 pound weight all day? I know a couple of you would say, I would do the 50 pound. But realistically, you'd all choose 1 pound because we know that 1 pound is going to be much easier to carry than 50 pounds. So this is an 8 pound weight, and this probably doesn't even weigh 1 pound. When we talk about mass, we can measure in different units. So remember when we were measuring length, I'm just going to set this down on the floor. When we were measuring length, we could measure in centimeters or meters or kilometers. When I am measuring capacity, I can measure in liters. When I'm measuring mass, I can measure in pounds. And we actually talk about that a lot in Canada. We will talk about our own weight in pounds. I mean, the weight I was just holding is an 8 pound weight. But if we want to be really specific and official, we use grams and kilograms to measure the mass of things. Today, we're not going to be using grams or kilograms in our measurements. Tomorrow, we're going to talk a little bit more about those and about how heavy they actually feel. But for today, you're just going to think about how some things are heavier than other things. Now, there is one way for us to actually calculate if something is heavier than something else, and that is to put it on a balance scale. I'm showing you a picture of that right now because I don't have a balance scale in my house, but this is what it would look like. All right. I could put something on one side of the scale and something on the other side. And if the scale stayed straight, that means that the two objects have the same mass. They are the same weight. But if I put something heavy on one side and light on the other side, the heavier object is going to go down. I'm putting that down. It is heavy. And the light object will go up in the air, right? We know this. Heavier things go down more easily. So if this was on a balance scale, it would look something like this. And the object that is down near the bottom is the heavier object. Now, could I, using a balance scale, put my 8 pound weight on one side and then put a whole bunch of blocks on the other side and make the balance straight? Could I make them equal? Well, yeah, I could. I would need to get 8 pounds of blocks. It would be a whole bunch of blocks, but I could totally do that. But let's say I needed 100 blocks. I think I'd need more than that. But let's say one weight on this side, and then I had 100 blocks on this side, and they were finally straight. They were equal. Would that mean that one block weighed 8 pounds? No. It would mean that 100 blocks weighed 8 pounds. So one block would weigh less than 8 pounds. We're gonna see in our work today some things that are very balanced looking on the scale. But when you look carefully, you'll see that one side has 1 item on it, and the other side, they've had to put a few things to make the scale balance. We can figure out which item is heavier based on which side has 1 item instead of a lot. Something is heavier if I put 1 item there, but then the other side I need like 10 things to be that heavy. The 1 item is always going to be the heavier thing when the balance is straight. Okay, let's actually look in our book. That might help explain it a little better. Let's go. You're on page 97 and 98 today, and I'm making you do almost all the questions, basically 1 to 6, but they're very fast. In number 1, you're going to circle the object, see how there's 2 in each one, that has more mass. So remember, mass is heaviness, it's weight. So which one has more weight? Which item is heavier? I mean, all of these, honestly, if you don't get them right, I'll be really sad. In number 2, we're circling the object that has less mass, less weight, less heaviness. So between these ones, which one has less? Again, you can definitely do this. This is a calculator in case you're not totally sure what that is. Now, this one reminds us what a balance looks like and how it works. So here we're going to circle the heavier object. This is so fast, you could do this in 3 seconds because we know that at the bottom of the balance, it's going to be the heavier object. The lighter one is at the top. So, I wonder how fast. You probably just did it listening to me do it. Number 4, circle the lighter object. Again, this one is super duper fast. Where is the lighter object on the balance? Is it down low? Did it pull the scale down? Or is it up high because it couldn't pull it down? It wasn't heavy enough. Now, when we get to 5 and 6, now we're getting to that tricky one where you have a balance that looks equal. You're going to circle the heavier object. So the 2 choices you have are eraser and a pencil. Now, when you look at the balance, there's 1 eraser is the same as 3 pencils. So which one has to be the heavier one? Well, if it's 1 eraser and 3 pencils, then that tells me that 1 pencil is not heavy enough to balance with the 1 eraser. The 1 eraser would be too heavy. So 1 eraser is the heavier object, okay? So when I said that you want to find the side that has 1 object instead of a higher number, the 1 object is the heavier one. Then you're going to come down here and you're going to circle the heavier object. So this one, this is 1 question and this is the 2nd question. This one here, we're trying to figure out, is the cube or the cylinder heavier? Well, the cube is the same as 3 weights. The cylinder is the same as 5 weights. Which one of those is heavier? Now we're going to do the same over here with the sphere and the pyramid. You'll see how much, okay? If you're like, man, I'm so good at this, I need something tricky because this has been way too easy for me today, give this one a try. This one is kind of a brain teaser, and you need to figure out which of these 3 is the heaviest. So have fun with this, and I will talk to you later.